I don't like writing by hand because my hands are weak and small and not muscular. Hi friends, today I will be writing like Neil Gaiman. If you saw my vlog from last week, you would know that I tried to write like Neil Gaiman last week, and I definitely did not. I momentarily lost control of my mind and spiraled pretty far down deep into the darkness of spiral. So, we're gonna nix all that, move on from it, learn something. No, we're not gonna learn anything. We don't know what happened. But today, we will be writing like Neil Gaiman. So, just to keep you up to date, I am currently working on the second draft of a young adult contemporary fantasy. It's a magical mystery. And the first draft is done, but it's all just scenes. There's very little connective tissue in my first drafts. So then at the start of July, when I started the second draft, I moved the first 12 scenes of the novel into a new, fresh, clean document, because those were the 12 scenes of Act 1. And the original document of Draft 1 is... I did the math in that vlog. I mean, it was like 40, 48, 52% notes. It was all notes. There was a chaotic amount of notes. So I moved the first 12 scenes of the novel into a fresh, clean document, and I started working on that in July. So this current document only has 12 scenes in it, but the rest of the scenes of the novel exist from Draft 1. They're just not yet in this document. Up until now, I mean, the scene chaos has been prolonged. But we're past it, and in the last vlog, I finished Scene 6, and I'm now ready to begin Scene 7. So when I start trying to write like Neil Gaiman, I will begin fresh with a new scene, Scene 7. The way Scene 7 currently exists in my document is very piecemeal. It's kind of a choppy scene right now. So I'm going to spend some time fleshing it out, connecting it to the 6th scene, and then preparing it to be connected to the 8th scene. That will be my goal for today. I don't know how long it will take. Some of these scenes I've been able to do in a day, and some of them it has been taking me like a month, maybe longer, I don't know. The scene theory that I've been using has been, difficult to manage in real time. But we're getting better. We got the scenes all written out in their order, in a list. And we're gonna do good from now on, I promise. I promise. Okay, so Neil Gaiman writes his first draft by hand. Luckily, I'm not working on first draft, so I don't have to be writing by hand, which is good because I don't like writing by hand because my hands are weak and small and not muscular, and they get tired very, very quickly. So, luckily, we are on the second draft and we are allowed to be working on our computer. When Neil Gaiman is at his desk, he says, "You have permission to not write, but you don't have permission to do anything else." So, he intentionally makes himself get bored by sitting at his desk, staring out the window, not allowing himself to do anything but write, and then eventually, writing is the most pleasant option between writing and nothing. He begins writing at 1 p.m. every day. He writes every day. He does not believe in writer's block because he forces himself to get bored and write. And then he writes for about 3 to 4 hours straight, sitting at his desk, doing nothing but either writing or nothing. He writes in a garden shed with no phone signal or internet. I do not have that option at the moment, but I will turn off my internet and force myself to just sit sadly at my desk, staring out the window until I am able to write. He says, writing is actually more interesting than doing nothing after a while. You sit there and you've been staring out the window now for 5 minutes and it kind of loses its charm. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit at my desk for 4 hours. I'm going to allow myself to snack. He doesn't say anything about snacking. He's a tall, slender fella. But I snack. I gotta snack. I'm gonna snack. He also doesn't say anything about taking a walk, which is interesting because most of the author routines that I have been trying include taking a nice long walk during the day. There's a lot of walkers in the author community. A lot of tea drinkers, too. Neil Gaiman's routine does not say anything about tea or coffee. Perhaps he just sits there and starves. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna allow myself to snack and drink water, possibly tea. So, let's get started. Most people feel when they're bored. Inspired? Because I'm just feeling kind of bored. Maybe a little bit angry? For me, a lot of the sometimes writer's block is a confidence issue. I don't believe in my writing skills, or I get bogged down by my many years of rejection. So that tends to be what it is. I have to battle it all the time, every day, every time I sit down to write. It's me against my mind. And a lot of times, my mind wins. Alright, so I have to get up to get my scene list. And actually, it's not going too bad so far. I actually just finished the 7th scene, which happened earlier than I was expecting. So now, I guess I'm just gonna start bridging that into the 8th scene. See how far we can get. It is strangely productive to just sit and not be able to do anything else. At first I was going to let myself listen to music, but then I thought, no, that's cheating. Because listening to music, can keep you from being bored. So I've just been sitting and I'm writing, and I am obviously getting a lot done because I just finished the 7th scene, but I'm not sure what I'm writing is good. So there's a little trade-off here, because when I'm bored, my writing feels flat and boring, rather than even if I just write in tiny little spurts of vigor and interest, then my writing is more interesting to me, supposedly. So I'm not sure yet. It'll all, time will tell. We'll see if this stuff I'm writing now just ends up being really boring. Currently feels very boring, but that could just be because I'm bored. So we don't know. Alright, so the 8th scene is interesting because I pull it from a different place in the story. This is the scene that used to be missing, and it wasn't in the document of the first act, and then I was looking for it a few days ago, and I was like, what happened to that scene? And then I finally found it, and I had just forgotten to transfer it from the other draft, the first draft, into this new clean draft with the other Act 1 scenes. But anywho, I had pulled it in the first draft. It was in a different part of the story, so now I've pulled it and put it into Act 1, and so it's gonna need a lot of, obviously revising. Everything's gonna need revising, but it's gonna need a lot of just tweaks, because the characters involved aren't all the same now. They're in a different place. It's the scene is the same. The events of the scene are the same, but different because it's in a different part of the story. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it's gonna be a little bit. It's just gonna take some time. I think I'm gonna stop for tonight. I actually think I'm gonna do this again tomorrow. Continue on with Neil Gaiman's writing routine, because I've been being very productive. I've been bored, and I think that's the whole purpose of this routine. You could build up some really good discipline following this routine. I am not there yet, so I get really bored, and then I feel like my writing is boring, but so far so good. The 8th scene, yeah, I'm hoping tomorrow I can finish the 8th scene by following this routine, because, it's a scene. It just doesn't have all the right parts at the moment, Alright, so in this scene, I'm still working on it, but I have pulled out the people that were in the scene when it was in a different part of the story that are no longer in the scene. And so I've only got the people in it that need to be in it, and I've moved the location from where it used to be to where it is now. And I have figured out a nice poll of the scene, which is good, even though I haven't yet implemented that. I've just written it in my notes. So, that's going well. The thing about this writing when you're bored thing really is that I am being extremely productive. I'm getting a lot done, and I'm breezing through way more pages than I would normally get through on a writing day. But I'm not enthusiastic about anything that I'm writing, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm feeling forced or bored. I'm not sure. I don't know what Neil Gaiman's secret is, but I have not tapped into it. But I'm gonna keep going. Alright, so I have spent some time here looking ahead at the next few scenes, the like 3-4 remaining scenes that I have identified to be in Act 1, and I'm a little bit concerned because this whole time I've been telling myself the scenes don't have an order, which is possible after these next 4 scenes because I don't even know what happens then. But what the problem is with these last 4 scenes in Act 1, it's not necessarily that they don't have an order because they kind of do. I mean, they have to be there. Problem is, I don't have a through line between them. So like developing connective tissue is hard, but also it's going to be really difficult because right now I don't have a clear thought of like the driving force between the scenes or like through the scenes. I don't know, so I'm feeling kind of defeated again at the moment. I think just because I don't have a clear idea of how I'm going to integrate these scenes into the story in a way that feels like enjoyable and not just like, here are some scenes. I have not figured that part out yet, so that's kind of slowing me down here on the scene that I'm working on because I know I'm not going to get any relief in the next scenes. Like once I finish this scene, I'm just going to have an even bigger problem. So there's that, I guess. I mean, I guess I'll see you again soon. Okay, so I have finished the scene as it was, like the scene that existed. I have now connected it to the story where it needs to be. The problem is I have now encountered the beginning of this lack of connective tissue between the next 4 scenes and the pull. Like, I don't know, like, these scenes are just like real piecemeal, you know, just like bam, bam, bam scenes. And I don't know what's like, you know, whatever this is that the story needs, I don't have that yet for these scenes. Short break here. When I looked back at that video, I realized that you could not see my hand movements. The problem is I always film with the back camera because the front camera, I'll show you, looks like this. For some reason the quality is so much less good. So I always film with the back camera and then I can't tell where I'm aiming. So then you end up looking at me like, you know, all kinds of angles. So sorry about that. Yeah, I guess I'll try to aim better, I suppose. So I have reached a dead end for now, and then I think I'm gonna stop now. I mean, I know Neil Gaiman would be like, just sit until you think of something, but everything I've been thinking of when I've been bored has just been boring, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. So I'm gonna give it some time. I need to ruminate on like what feels like a good pull, you know, like what's whatever the word is for this that these scenes need. It's gonna take some love and some gentle nudging, and I'm not sure I can get that when I'm bored. So I'm gonna end this here, and hopefully when we see each other next, I will have found the missing magic that these scenes need.